Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest narration of the web series Accidentally Adopted. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 8.5. At an indeterminate time in the future, there were several humans going over either copies or their originals of certain journals, diaries, and personal logs. On the supercarrier, speaking softly, an admiral sat alone in a ready room, looking at 3 different accounts of an exceedingly unlucky infantryman, thinking, typical dirt-pounder, no tactical information on the ship or station. Command put something in the crayons to make them remember that wars are won by the Navy. Really, it's a miracle that the planet Monkey hasn't caused any catastrophic issues with his mere presence. It's a known fact that infantrymen attack malfunctions via magnetics. The Xenos had halfway civilized the rifle ape after just a week. She was planning to give the captain something fitting. In the enlisted mess of the destroyer sailing somewhere she wasn't supposed to. No fecking way, the lieutenant said. He wouldn't die, a cook replied. It's just not fecking possible, a sergeant insisted. E-scale, O-scale, almost any MOS, it didn't matter. The 284 men present had one thing in common. And that was the same thing they had in common with the author of the Sanity Journal. Nobody lies in a Sanity Journal. If he says a barracks war ended in total one-sided victory and no property damage or injuries, then that's what happened, said a corporal. Are we not going to talk about the fecking vet shit? On an office barely worth a word. A disgraced general sneered and wiped the hologram away. A fecking vet. Whiskey. He needed whiskey. They took him to get a scan from a fecking vet. He downed the whiskey and poured another while he looked at the printed photo of 306 17 to 19-year-old men. And how dare that beetle do that to one of my boys? It was a whiskey. Like water kind of night. I'll get an apology out of that so-called captain if I have to wring it out of his fecking neck. In a neat, orderly office on loan from a petty officer. He gently closed the notebook and put it to the side with the other documents and opened his leather-bound journal. Shut up, internal therapist voice indeed, he mused to himself as he began to sketch out his professional recommendations. Well, at least you listened enough to have one. In a comparatively lavish quarters, the ambassador put aside the file and wept. It was bad enough that an infantryman had made first contact, but why did he have to be one of those boys? All in all, he hadn't done anything worse than give all of the Xeno city names in his private journal, and the other impressions he'd made were actually quite positive in context. Still though, she despaired about how the Xenos would attempt to be culturally sensitive at the first meeting. This was going to be a shit show. End of chapter. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters, Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Dragzoon W.R.E, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, Jon Creighton, and Sevaren Serberous. Thank you very much.